Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and possibly good night. And welcome to another Senior Spotlight. My name's Jason Wilson. Alongside me is,
Luciano Calvosa.
and I'm gonna cry. All right. So today I am joined alongside the Vice President of D News Network, alongside one of the head directors of the sports broadcasting program, Luciano Calvosa. Luch, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. A little bit nervous. Last time I'm ever sitting in this desk, but I'm just gonna enjoy it while I can, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Just wrapped up Deanies, and you got yourself a little Hall of Fame medal
Yeah,
alongside going back to back as most versatile.
yeah. I'm very blessed and honored to be a part of the DNN family forever, especially having a spot in the Hall of Fame. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought of something like that, and to be named most versatile back to back, very special too. So I'm very grateful for both of those acknowledgments.
Well, as we looked upon the present, let's talk about the past. And obviously, the first question that always comes to mind, the one that's the silliest, we always get it right off the bat. Why Dean College?
Well, funny story is that actually I was not supposed to be coming here. Originally, I was supposed to be going to SUNY Oswego, which is upstate New York. But a big part of my life is obviously my dad, and he was really persuading me to check out Dean when he found out, like, oh, they have a sports broadcasting program. So I'm like, at first I was like, I don't really want to check it out. Kind of had my set in stone mind on Oswego. So I'm like, after a while, I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. And then after I checked it out, with what we saw with with the Power 88 studios, the digital studios, DNN, everything, I was like, you know what? This could give me an opportunity for me to finally find who I am as, in my career in sports, because I've always been a sports guy, and, hopefully finding stuff in like production, broadcasting, radio, whatever the case may be. I was thinking I was going to find my footing here, and I guess it's safe to say I did. So that's why I chose Dean.
So the big question, sometimes people have a good answer to this. Some people don't have an answer at all for
Mm-hmm.
this. Did you have any sort of sports broadcasting background before you even came to Dean?
No. I did not have any sports broadcasting experience at all whatsoever. I've always been a blue collar guy. I've always worked construction my entire life. Not only just in construction, but also being a vineyard farmer as well. So I've always been, out in the sun baking for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. But yeah, no prior broadcasting or journalism experience at all whatsoever. But I guess you could say all that switched around once I stepped foot on this campus.
So instead of wires and buttons, you got olive oil pans, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
So that sounds like a fantastic experience compared to broadcasting.
I guess it's. It has its perks here and there, but again, after a long time, my entire family's been, blue collar. My dad runs his construction company, and my family's been basically following his footsteps in that. My older brother, he's one of our project managers there. I have my moments here and there where I do enjoy working blue collar, but I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for me to step away from that. I really wanted to try to find my true passion and true loving for something, and for as long as I can remember, it's always been sports. And ever since then, the sky's the limit.
So here's the question: when is ever since then?
So
When did that actually come to be? When did you decide really? Oh, you know what? I'm going to be a sports broadcaster. I'm going to be a sports broadcasting major. Why decide on that major compared to communications, sports journalism? What sort of avenue did you find to take that path?
So I was really analyzing all the avenues, especially working in sports. I always knew that I wanted to work in sports. It was towards the beginning of my senior year of high school. What I knew when I knew that I really wanted to work in sports was back when I was 10, 11 years old. When I went to my first Yankee game, it was 2012. It was the Yankees versus the Tampa Bay Rays. I remember the entire environment, the stadium, everything. I was in absolute shock, and I was like, you know what? I want to be working in sports one day. And I remember analyzing different avenues of working in sports, whether it be sports marketing, sports management, sports media, sports communication, whatever. But then I looked at sports broadcasting, and I was like, oh, sports broadcast, doing the play-by-play. My favorite play-by-play guys are obviously Michael Kay and John Sterling because of the Yankees. I enjoyed watching them ever since I was little, and since then, I really wanted to follow in that footsteps, and, well, here I am now. So I guess that's kind of the pathway of how I wanted to be a sports broadcaster.
So a little bit different than some people. Some people have been doing it their entire lives, or doing it throughout high school. I had a similar path as you, where it was just kind of like, hey, it's a major. I could talk sports, and if challenges face me, I'm ready for them. And you've faced plenty of challenges here on campus and trying to find your own way and growing into your own, especially with being one of the many people who come into this college with little to no experience within the sports broadcasting world. How did you find your footing to stand above the rest to eventually gain the role that you have today?
Well, one thing that my dad always taught me is that be the one person that stands out above everyone else. That's kind of the big thing that he's always mentioned to me. Not only just my dad, but my entire family. You know, my mom, my brothers, Vinny, George, and Anthony. They always try to support me and everything. But really having little to no experience in broadcasting, I was just like, you know what? Let me see how it goes. You know, just say, screw with it. You know, figure it out. You know, sometimes you got to be thrown in the deep end in order to swim. So I was fortunate enough to swim, basically.
Well, I'm glad you didn't drown.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate for that, especially the fact that you've stuck to it and you've gotten to it and you've done it all over and over and over again. And not to mention within 3 years.
Yeah.
Within the past, you've expressed that during your high school years, you took a lot of collegiate classes to essentially make yourself set and ready to go for college, and then graduate in 3. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I mean, they always preach this in the high school that I went to. Shout out Connecticut High School. They always take a bunch of college level courses, and they were really persuading us seniors like, oh, you should be taking some. You get a bunch of college credit back in return, and you cut off a bunch of your tuition. So I was like, you know what? And I took some advice from my older brother, like definitely take the college credit. I remember one class I took, virtual enterprise, 9 college credits worth, 9 college credits, and I remember doing the math. That literally adding that up, I think it had a total of like 17 or 18 college credits, and I was like, that basically saved me an entire year of tuition. And listen, I know a lot of people can speak for this. College is not cheap. It's not cheap. I know that. I mean, but yeah, just taking those classes. Part of me says I'm very fortunate and grateful to take those courses and finish my bachelor's degree in 3 years, but half of me says I kind of wish I would to do it in 4, to be honest with you.
I mean, especially, I wish you could stay for 4. I mean, one more year with you would be fantastic, especially not only at Dean, not only for DNN, not only for broadcasting, but just as a friend overall. 4 years would have been spectacular, but 3 means you're moving on to something else, and we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
Throughout your time here at Dean, you started off as a freshman with little to no footing, alongside the sports broadcasting program, originally starting off as just a club, essentially. That way you can gain your opportunities. There's a lot of people's times of their first broadcast. What was yours?
Well, my first broadcast, I remember like it was yesterday. It was a cold October afternoon. It was soccer. It was men's soccer. I have no idea about soccer at all. I don't watch the sport. Shout out Nico Sharp. He was my broadcast partner that day. I remember he would give me a lot of advice on how to go about, calling a game for soccer because he knows the sport like the back of his hand. And I was like, okay, my first game, I really didn't have a full footing on how to really do play-by-play or color. So I was kind of, just thrown into the fire, basically. And luckily enough, I was able to walk out on the other side. Luckily enough, I didn't have too many blunders that game. But since then, I guess you could safe to say that I've developed my broadcasting skills from here on out.
In the words of the famous Sonic Adventure 2 song, you had to live and learn.
Absolutely.
And, you're always hanging on the edge of tomorrow. And essentially finding a way to take some moments, breaking the ice, and figuring out where you wanted to be within the broadcasting world. You came up with this idea that you want to be play-by-play. And working with that, you gained a lot of different experiences. Freshman year, you were able to be head play-by-play alongside color for the home opener for basketball, which was a major opportunity as a freshman. How'd that end up going?
That I remember I remember it like it was yesterday. It was just, such a surreal opportunity. I knew when I first came here to Dean, I was like, all right, try to get as many play-by-play opportunities you can get. I knew baseball and basketball are my 2 favorite sports. I know them like the back of my hand. And I remember calling that game, again, that was with Nico Sharp, because I started to develop that chemistry with him. And I was like, you know what? I definitely can make my mark here. And I remember calling that basketball game, starting to get my footing down a little bit, and I started to develop pretty quickly from there on out. But that was a very surreal opportunity to call the men's home opener. I think it was against Curry College, by the way.
Yeah. And I remember being on that game because I was sidelined. Yeah. So it was really funny. Always randomly going, all right, Jay, here you go.
Yep.
Here you go. All right, we're gonna handle.
That's when I had my mustache. Funny enough. Yeah, I had a mustache at that point.
Yeah, that was quite some time. We don't speak of that one.
No,
we don't speak of that one.
No, we don't.
But besides that, you've had plenty of experiences, and with those experiences and essentially proving yourself, you ended up getting yourself a chance to be on the board, not only for the first time, but as a freshman, which is essentially unheard of at that point. What was the position you ended up getting?
I think at the time it was basically just like a broadcast assistant, basically, just kind of just helping out the guys at the e-board. At the time it was, I believe, Brett, Ben, Austin, and I think Nico was also on that board as well. Just kind of helping those guys out. I mean, they knew what they were doing. I just wanted to learn from them, gain experience on how to run a brigade and be a leader. And I remember that whole semester just getting that job, or I wouldn't say job, but that opportunity early on. Kind of told myself like, listen, you made your mark here early on. Now you just got to run with it. So I was like, just learning from some of the best people to ever walk this campus and to really make their mark. Just learn from the best, basically.
Yeah, and with that, you learned a lot over time. Semester by semester, you started growing overall. Eventually, when the club became a class, you ended up taking the assistant director role, eventually in your second year, alongside me, funny enough. And then basically, our paths sort of stayed the same from then on out. When it came to taking over that assistant director role within your second year, how did that of overall like take over your life?
It took over my life big time because I mean, I'll say this: my high school days, a lot of people knew me, but they didn't really personally know me, and I was kind of just wanted to just leave that behind, and I wanted to focus on something that I really love to do. And I remember taking on that role in my second year. I was like, continuing to develop, continuing to get better, getting 1% better every day. That's what I always try to preach to myself every day. If you're 1% better than you were the day before, then you're doing the job right. And yeah, just continuing to perfect my craft one way or another because I'm always trying to get better. Again, I'm not the best play-by-play guy, but I have my tools in my toolbox, and that's kind of got me far enough so far, at least.
Now we'll head towards your third year in a second, which eventually you took over one of the head director roles for the broadcast program. You had plenty of experience. You have two internships over that time. Matter of fact, 3 or 4 off the top of my head, correct?
Yeah.
So after your freshman year, you decided to go home and be a part of what team exactly?
So I'll give you a preface of this. So I went back home, Long Island. I was part of the Hamptons Collegiate Baseball League, which is a kind of like I wouldn't say shorter, but like a lower ranked Cape Cod league, basically. Again, a lot of college prospects play in those leagues, and eventually they could get drafted. And I have had the opportunity to cover a bunch of those athletes who eventually go on to get drafted, which was pretty cool to say the least. But I was a lead play-by-play guy for the league. I would go to cover any game I wanted to, and I had the opportunity to cover not only just the All-Star game, because I was play-by-play for that, and also I was play-by-play for a bunch of the playoffs in that league as well. So that was pretty cool to say the least.
Those are quite some opportunities to say.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you move on to your second year. And during the spring semester, you worked for the Northeast Generals.
Yes, I did.
Hockey,
yeah.
A little bit of an unknown for you.
Oh, yeah.
And you worked alongside camera, correct?
Yes, I was basically a production assistant. I did basically camera for the Northeast Generals. And again, I just wanted to learn all aspects of production. Not only I knew what being on camera was about, but I wanted to know what being behind the camera was all about. Because again, you want to be as versatile as possible. And again, like we mentioned before, most versatile back to back. I mean, you kind of got to learn the trade, basically, Yeah.
And then moving into last year's summer, you got the opportunity to work alongside our former directors, Brett Jobs, Ben Pope, and work for a collegiate baseball team as well. What was that?
So at the time, it was called the New England Knockouts as well as the Brockton Rocks. But I did a bunch of production stuff there, doing camera. I was also a PA announcer. I did some PA announcing for the Knockouts and the Rocks from time to time. That was a summer I'll never forget. I mean, a lot of memories. Shout out Ben Pope, who's behind the camera. A lot of memories that I've made over in Brockton. All those guys. That's a summer I'll never forget. I mean, with a lot of memories also comes a lot of sacrifice. I've lost a lot of time with my family that summer, and sometimes that's what you got to go through. You got to sacrifice time away from family and friends, and if you want to go after something you really want, you got to do what you got to do.
It's a good thing that you're going to have a couple months at home, to say the least, at graduation, which will be very, very nice. And then moving on to your third year, your final year, you had a lot going for you. You have the head director role alongside being the vice president of DNN alongside me. You moved into that role of head director along with VP with a lot of high hopes and with a major resume to back up every single decision of what was made. Over your time as head director, what's been some of the many challenges or different things that you've gone through that have really solidified that role?
Definitely a lot of challenges for sure. I mean, a lot of personal stuff I've been dealing with. I'm not going to get into the full details of that, but if you're close with me, you guys know what I've been going through the last couple months. I'm not going to get into that right now. But dealing with different egos, different people we're working with left and right, you can't really find common ground basically. And there's a lot of days where you're like, you don't really want to show up, you don't really want to do the job, but at the same time, you're like, you're that close, you're almost there, you're at the finish line. Like, why do you want to tap out now? Like, because I remember there was a lot of days in recent months where I was like, I want to tap out, I want to go home, I can't do this no more. But, and a lot of people probably would have if they were in my shoes. Um, and I was like, you know what? I've come this far. I don't need to tap out. I got to keep going. I got to keep fighting. This is something I really love to do, and if I love it that much, I'll continue grinding at it. Perfecting my craft and finding common ground with people that I may not enjoy working with from time to time, and that happens in this business. But yeah, just trying to find common ground left and right, and if you keep doing that, you're gonna be all right.
And with that head director role, you eventually got yourself plenty of opportunities.
Oh yeah.
One of which is working for Salve Regina, based in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
How's that been?
That's been a blast. Obviously, alongside you, of course, I want to give a quick shout out to Director of Communications Ed Habershaw for giving us the opportunity to call some of the games we've called volleyball, basketball, baseball, and softball, and that has been a complete blast. Being able to call or do play-by-play for games, especially on Flow Sports, which is also a big step up. Especially doing stuff on Dean TV, Power 88, stuff like that. It's a big step up for me, and I remember doing the first game with you for volleyball. I was like, hey, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this, and since then we've always had a blast left and right, and there's never a dull moment with you and me on the air.
Yeah. And now, obviously, we talked about broadcasting entirely, and we talked about your time here at Dean, as well as a few of your internships. Let's get down to business. You're wearing the shirt right now.
Yep.
Why do you DNN?
Why DNN for me? I'm going to take the entire, broadcasting and journalism stuff out of the way. I enjoy being around people. I mean, every week, Monday and Thursdays, I look forward to being around everyone. A lot of people in this room right now, you guys bring out the best in me. If it weren't for you, I'm not sitting here right now. This means the world to me, and being a part of this family forever is an absolute blessing for me, and I will cherish it for the rest of my life, and DNN for life. I love you guys.
Well, we love you too, Luch. there's no denying that.
Yep.
There's been plenty of thicks and thins, to say it the least, throughout your collegiate career. Not just as a broadcaster, but also as a member of DNN and a part of the broadcasting program. Throughout your time, what has really stuck out as one of the major reasons why you are where you are today?
I just think the main reason why I am where I am right now is just kind of taking every opportunity in stride, whether it be, calling a game or if you're in a class with some of your buddies and you really enjoy it, and, especially, stuff like DNN and everything. Again, just enjoy it, just trying to get better. Again, sometimes I like to be very work-based, but also you got to have some fun with it too. If you're not having fun, you're really not doing it for all the right reasons. And I think it's safe to say that I'm having fun. I like to be a little bit of a jokester a little bit from time to time, but hey, listen, that's all part of the gig. You want to have fun, so that's the main thing.
All right, one of my last questions before we look towards the future, let's take a moment to say this. You are looking at your past self. You're looking at someone who's just heading into college, looking into your career, maybe looking into another. What sort of advice would you give them heading into college?
Yeah, I'm going to speak with the future college kids first, and then I'll speak to my past self real quick. Just be yourself. Put yourself out there. Take every opportunity you can, because you never know where you're going to end up. You never know what you're going to enjoy, and you never know the people that you're going to meet, because sometimes you may meet the people that potentially may be your friends for life. And for my past self, I'm going to say this to you right now. Leave the past behind. Let it go, dude. Because what's in front of you is so much more important than what's behind you. And there's a reason why the front windshield mirror is so much bigger than the rear mirror. And, yep.
Interesting take. Now, looking towards the future, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell the viewers out there what you got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So right after I walked the stage on May 10th, I've been gracefully accepted into the Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University. I'll be starting classes June 30th. I'm going to be continuing my master's degree in broadcast and digital journalism through sports media. Again, if you guys don't know what Syracuse is, I'll keep this short and sweet. It's basically the #1 broadcasting school in the country, especially for sports, so I've been blessed to have that opportunity. And then on top of that, I'm back with the Hamptons League. I'm back as a league play-by-play guy, and still going to be calling games there. So,
well, if there's someone who's gained those opportunities and earned them entirely, it is 1,000% you, Luch. There's been plenty of memories over our time here at Dean, not just a part of the broadcasting program, not just a part of the school, not just part of DNN, but as a friendship. And to say at the least, losing you at the end of this year is going to be a real toughie.
Yeah.
And truly, I look forward to keeping in touch.
Absolutely.
I keep forward to looking at that LinkedIn profile and seeing what's going on.
Yep.
Because we're connected on LinkedIn. That's what matters overall. And yeah.
Listen, man, I've laid the pathway for you to walk, man. That was my job. That was my job, and I'm glad that you and me have made this sort of connection that will never be broken. And what we've made together, not only just broadcasting, but DNN and everything, no one will ever touch that. That's at the pedestal. No one will ever match what you and me created. And seriously, you've saved me so many times where I didn't really know where I was going to be. And personally, I want to say thank you to you for not turning your back on me, and to everyone in this room, basically. Thank you for accepting me. Seriously, I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys bring out the best in me. I love you guys. I'm going to miss you guys so much. Yeah, from there on out, Big Luch signing off.
So, history lesson complete. We've learned a lot about Luch, and I've known a lot about Luch for a very, very long time.
That you do, yeah.
Considering freshman year orientation, we started off as the Burger Boys because John Rook told us to look in front of the camera and say, "What is that?" And what was our favorite food?
Burgers.
Burgers.
Yep.
So, from a sign off from the Burger Boys, my name's Jason Wilson.
And I'm Luciano Calvosa.
And you can check out the senior spotlights down below in the description. Plenty of playlists, plenty of ones to watch, and plenty of advice to give. Luch, it's been fun.
Yes, it has, brother.
And it's been real. That does it for us. Signing off. Fade to black.